Hi, Facebook family. I'm here again to do the second session for you guys. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is breaking fear. So, what I'm going to go through is explaining what fear is, how it can affect the brain, and what you need to do to overcome these fears. Now, first of all, let me explain to you what fear is. Now, basically, what happens is with a lot of people, you fear certain situations that aren't life and death. And what you tend to do is create this horror movie that comes up and you replay it again and again and again. And you create this what if scenario in your mind, which then kind of triggers the fear aspect. Now, what fear does is actually caused by stress. And then once stress is actually triggers your fear, and then chemicals are then released in your mind. But what you got to remember is that it's not reality. What you're fearing, the what ifs, is not reality. It's actually just a horror movie that you've created in your mind and you're replaying over and over again. So then once this happens, it actually triggers off different reactions in your body. So you may start to sweat and your heart might beat faster, your breathing will be heavier. Now, what you got to remember is that stress will then cause you to be sick. And once it causes you to be sick, it actually impairs your brain. So it will impair your memory, your performance, your decision making. And once this is impaired and then you let fear take over, you create these scenarios in your mind. And what you got to remember that there's two scenarios that will trigger fear. Now, one is a life and death situation. So it could be, if you're being attacked by a wild animal, that's a life and death situation. The second one is a non-life and death situation. So again, it's something that you just create in your mind and it's 100% your imagination, and you're replaying this movie again and again. Now, what happens is that the non kind of, the life and death situation could be something like you fear rejection, or you fear, being alone. You fear that you're going to fail. So it's things like that aren't actually life and death situations. Now, what happens is that the brain has actually got a built-in alarm system. And what happens there is that the system allows you to react quickly in a situation, so you fight your survival skills. So for example, if you're crossing the road and you're in the middle of the road and you see a car coming towards you, so instead of you sitting there and calculating, how fast is this car coming towards you and how fast you're able to run and move out of the way, your amygdala, which is a part of your brain, shuts down all the other parts of your brain, which does analyze all these sorts of things and allows you to react quickly in these situations. Now, the amygdala's job and part of the brain is to kind of get you to react as quickly as possible in these situations, so your survival skills do kick in. Now, what happens is that in some environments, you'll be surrounded by all sorts of people at work, in your family, and if you're surrounded by people that are constantly fearing something, constantly stressed out, then you're going to start implementing these pathways, and I've explained this in the last video last week, that if you keep repeating the same thing again and again, whether it is positive or negative, you're going to create these certain pathways in your mind. And then you'll find that any little thing that you come across, that you face, you're going to start fearing. Now, the fear will actually it will trigger your fight or flight responses. So you will either fight the fear or you'll run away from it. Now, these chain reactions start from a stressful situation, like I mentioned before. And it actually you send your sensory data to. So that will be things like what you see, what you hear, you smell or taste, all your sensory data, and that goes to your sensory cortex. Now your sensory cortex then interprets this data and then takes it to the hippocampus. The hippocampus then stores and retrieves these conscious memories and then establishes the context behind it. And then once it's done that, it goes to the amygdala. Now that's where I've already explained to you, where it goes to your responses for you to react quickly. Now the amygdala then gets these emotions of your feelings and experiences. You react from it, and also it stores your emotions and what you're feeling as well. So then you'll always come back to it. If you're in the same situation or similar situation, it will always trigger those memories off. And again, you'll end up reacting the way you did prior. And then once it goes to that, it goes to the hypothalamus, thalamus. And the hypothalamus then triggers off your fight or flight responses. So there's three different areas as to, you know, where these fears come from. And the first one is the loss of pain. So the loss of pain could be something where if you're applying for another job and you fear that you're going to lose your present benefits and you don't want to do that. Or it could be if you feel like if you're going to make a change that you're going to lose your relationship with your spouse or your kids. Or if you're going to give up smoking, that you're going to lose the feeling that it gives you when you smoke. You know, maybe it'll make you feel like you're more relaxed and you're going to, you know, give up that feeling and you're going to miss it. The second pain is the process pain. So again, the process pain could be, you know, the process of changing and the kind of what if. So it could be if you're on a new diet plan, that you have to go out, buy new foods, learn to make new meals, and that you have to exercise as well. So that whole process of change could be a fear as well. And the third pain is the outcome pain. Now the outcome pain is, what if the grass isn't greener on the other side? What if you go through this whole process of changing and you don't actually like it once you get to the other end? And it doesn't feel any better than what you were, or if you feel like you're worse off. So it's the what if. Now, what you need to do is think about the different fears that you're experiencing right now. It doesn't matter what area of your life. If you think about the different fears that you're experiencing, most likely they will actually fit in one of those categories. And once you determine which categories they fit in, you then need to do three things in order to overcome them. And the three things are, firstly, you need to focus on your outcome. Why do you want to make a change? What actually is it that you're scared of? And you need to focus on your overall goal. You need to be able to see and visualize what your overall goal is and, you know, where you see yourself. Once you focus on the end goal and you continuously focus on that, then you need to then go on to the second step. And the second step is language, and determining what kind of language you're using for yourself. Are you using kind words? Are you using harsh words? Are you telling yourself that you can't do it, that it's going to be too hard, that you're going to fail? Again, I mentioned about all these things in my last video. If you keep telling yourself something and you keep repeating to yourself, your brain will create those pathways. So what you need to do is determine what kind of language you're using for yourself. And if it is harsh language, then you need to change it to positive ones. You need to start telling yourself that you can do it, that you want to do it, and you won't stop until you do it. And then once you've got the language down, then you need to think about your physiology. Now, the best way to kind of see what your physiology is like is think about what your own physiology is when you feel confident. So how are you posturing yourself? How is your head up? How is your shoulders, your chest? You know, how is your body? What kind of posturing is your body when you feel confident? And then see yourself when you're actually scared of something, when you're fearing something. You'll see a big change the minute you change your physiology to a positive state. It completely changes the game. So what I need you to do is think about these three things. Focus on your end goals, and then change your language if necessary, and then also your physiology. Now, a lot of people feel like, you've gone through life with certain mindset patterns and there's no way that you can change it. However, your brain can be rewired, and you can train to rewire your brain every single day of your life until you die. There is that saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, that's completely wrong. You can, only if you want to be taught. If you don't want to be taught, then there's no way that you can be taught new skills or any ways to change your whole mindset. So I'm going to leave you with that, guys. If you have any questions, then please type them down now, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions for you. If you come with any questions later on, then give me a shout. Again, write them down. So what I'm going to do is just hang around for a little while. I know a few of you are on. Hey, Kate, Tasha, Rachel, Peter, Sarah, Gustavo, nice to see you. Basilica, Farah, it's awesome to have you guys on here. Thanks for tuning in, and I will be back next week to talk about another topic, and I will be posting out what times and days they will be on, and hopefully I will catch you there then as well. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye.